Hello everyone. Decided to come down and play for a while. I have got somebody, it was actually one of my parents from my childcare, donated a whole bunch of like the huge file folders, the ones that are bigger than normal. I can't even tell you how big it was. It was like 3 of these put together, so we better another one. So it was huge. But anyway, I cut them down to 3. And then she also donated some of the green hanging file folders that were really old from one of their old storefronts. And then really wanted to play with this picture of this little girl today. But I hope everybody's doing good. Today has been full. I took my 17-year-old daughter and my 13-year-old daughter. We went plant shopping so we could get our garden going, and spent quite a while doing that. And now they're upstairs doing their homework, and I decided to go ahead and play for a while. Not really sure which one I like better. I do like this background. So I could do the green and have the flap go this way on the page, or I could cut it down and do the manila and have it flip up. I think I'm kind of really liking the green back behind. So I think we'll go with this one. And then I take one a page. All my book pages are about this big, so I always kind of use it as a base so I can make sure I'm not making my page bigger than it needs to be. But since it'll go on there, I think we'll be fine. So that's my base. And then I either want to use that one or maybe the smaller one. I'm not sure yet. But we'll set these to the side, go from there. And then I have this poem I like. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world, by Harriet. I've always really liked that. So I think we'll use that. I have it 2 different ways. Can go that way or that way. I think I kind of like the rougher torn edge. I think that's what we'll go with. Go from there. So, do any of you guys like to garden? Me and the girls, I'd have to say between that, the scrapbooking, and canning is probably the best way that I have had that I have actually bonded with my girls and stuff, which is, Ashley was younger when she was adopted. So with her, the bonding kind of came natural because she was an infant. And but with Jenna, she was adopted 11 and she's now 17. When she first came home, she didn't know hardly any English. She knew Mammy Mama and Baba, which, you know, basically was Chinese, but I mean, she knew Mom and Dad in English too. But for the most part, she didn't know anything. So it was a lot of body reading and pointing and etc. I tried to learn some Chinese before we went, and I'll be honest, I couldn't do it. Few months later, when Jenna had learned a little more English, she basically, she told me I was too old to learn, which isn't too far from the truth, because I tell you what, I could not, I could pick up shui for water. That was about it. But right on, her and I learned how to read each other's body language pretty quick. So that helped out a lot. And then we would work on English words and different, you know, smaller stuff as she came in. And that worked really well for the most part. And then I would say probably she picked it up really fast. I mean, she was not slow in picking up the English at all. She was pretty quick. But in the beginning, when she had first come home, she Sorry, trying to find my cutter. We had went and started her in public school because within a month we didn't have any intentions on putting her in school for, you know, a good 2-3 months to bond once she got home. But she had asked to go to school, so we took her to school, and that didn't last long. The school here where we were at, they wanted her to forget her Chinese. They said that she was going to learn English way too slow for that. And with her hand disability, I mean, it was her heritage anyway. You can't, that just, at her age, that would be stripping her of who she is. So that was not a good thing anyway. But we ended up pulling her out because with her hand disability, knowing more than one language is going to really help her in the future. And so to have her forget that would not, to me, that just wasn't a question of whether we were going to have her do that. So I pulled her out and we homeschooled her for a few years, and then she's now in her second year of high school. And I pulled her back a grade or two because at our school, if they are there all 4 years, they got time to get all their credits and also earn some college credits. And so she's only a sophomore this year and she'll be a junior next year, but she's worked her little tiny off. She's earned 2 years at our local college, up to $6,000 a month, or a year, I mean, to actually be able to use that to go to college. And she's looking forward to taking some college classes of nursing. So that's a huge step for her. And she was a little nervous at first when we brought out the idea of her going in for nursing, because she was afraid with one hand, or one full hand, one partial hand, that she couldn't do it. But like I told her, you know, one of the first things I translated to her as we came home was, there is nothing you can't do. There may be some things that you may need help doing, but I will not be the one to tell you what those are. You'll be the one to tell me, and don't you let anybody else tell you that. So from the get-go, there's just no such thing as she can't. There may be some things that she needs help with, but I just don't want her ever in the position where somebody tells her she can't do something, because where there's a will, there's a way, in my opinion, on getting, you know, things done. So she's kind of lived by that factor too, and has done really well with the fact that she feels there's nothing she can't do. Probably, I would say, a month, maybe 2 after she came home. I can quite a bit, so pork loins had went on sale, and I had decided that I wanted to can some. And so we were cutting it up in sizes that would fit into the, whoops, wrong thing, into the jars so we could pressure cook it. And I handed her, she had this big pork loin sitting in front of her, and I handed her the big butcher knife to cut up the small pieces. And talk about wide-eyed girl. She looked at me and gave me that look like, really? And I just translated to her again. I said, you know, can you do it, or do you need help? But I tell you what, after she got over the fact that I handed her this huge knife, she did it. She cut all those pieces in bite sizes and was helping me load the jars and going wild with it. And she's helped me can ever since. So it's just one thing that drives me nuts, whether they got a disability or whether, you know, they're just young or what have you, is when people tell them they can't do it. They can do it. They just need a little extra help sometimes. And that's the thing that causes most children to just not try. or adults for that matter. I guess, you know, it really goes that way. I think I like the darker frame better than the lighter one. I think. Yeah, I think I like the darker one better. So, going into nursing, I just told her, I said, you know, it may take you a little extra work, because what she's running into right now in her sophomore years, she knows a lot of our everyday language, but when it comes to new words like the science terms and such, she's having to learn those and work a little harder for them. But, I mean, she's doing it. She's doing great. Her grades are really good for what she's doing. So, either way, I'm proud of her. She's doing a great job. But we went, and another way we bond is by our garden. So every year we usually plant a good sized garden, and this year I got other things going on with the child care and some other classes that I might want to take online. And so I think I'm going to let the girls, they tried to talk me into it last year, but I told them I wanted more vegetables. This year I think I might actually let them plant more flowers and a little bit less canning vegetables. And we still do a lot of fresh, because with the daycare, we do a lot of like the salad greens, the fresh peas and stuff like that. And then the kids get to go down and help me when things are ready. They help me pick vegetables for lunch, and they absolutely love that. I got some that used to not eat salad, and now they'll eat about everything they can get a hold of, which is awesome. So we'll keep going with that. And other than that, here we've just been trucking along. Today, or last week, we had freezing temps again. And then this week we'll hit 90 tomorrow. So welcome to Iowa. I think I'm going to put that back behind too. But do any of you guys out there like to garden and can yet? I know it's becoming kind of a lost art, really. I grew up on a full working farm, and so we grew a lot of our own food and vegetables. I don't know what that would look like as a frame. So we grew a lot of our own food and canned, and when I was young, we actually butchered our own meat on the farm. But as we got older, Dad started taking it. That was when a lot of the family was still younger, and so you could get a lot of them to come over and help. And then as they grew up, some of our family really stuck with the farming and some didn't. So we'd get together and we'd butcher chickens, and well, I shouldn't say we. I was young. I didn't like it. I hid, and they never forced me into doing it, thank goodness, because that just wasn't my thing. And it's kind of scary to me. They did it the old-fashioned way, and kind of glad we don't do that anymore. Couple years, we've been here about 20. Couple years when we first moved here, I kind of broke my husband into the farming world, and we raised a couple batches of chickens to butcher, but we didn't do it. We took it somewhere here local, and we had them do it, because I can't do that part. And now I have other friends and stuff that raise the, ooh, I like that. I think I like that better. So they grow them to do that. We do have, with a daycare, I had at one point when Jenna first came home, I had 29 or 31 goats, and I was milking them and making cheese and stuff for the winery we had. And that was fun, but I took a year off with Jenna, and then when I came back, I just decided that just wasn't feasible. A lot of the babies ended up going to people that live close for their children so they could go to 4-H. And So a lot of the babies went there. I never once had to sell one for food, which was extremely nice that I never had to do that. I was fortunate. But, so that was kind of fun. I know it's kind of sad in our area. A lot of we still live on the verge of being in the country. So we can have the garden, and then I do have chickens that the kids also get to help gather eggs. And so they get the little bit of the livestock with it. And then we have fruit trees, and we add trees and stuff every year. Kind of like that. That's kind of it's a burlap type twine. And they call it burlap something. I can't find my deal. But it's on a spool like this, and you can get it at Hobby Lobby. And it's in the floral area, that ribbon there. And it's really lightweight. And it's a little, it's not thick, so it don't bulk up too much on your pages. Kind of like the way that looks. Do that. And then with the daycare, I like to, we're moving more and more to, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the outdoor classrooms. So we're out during, especially the weather we can have it. We didn't get out as much during the winter as I would have liked today, or this year, I mean, because we had a tiny one in the mix. Sometimes I'll let under one come in, but I try to keep it just one with that little, because I like the preschool part. But we had him, so we didn't get out as much because we had a pretty cold winter this year. I think I like the white ones. And so we kind of stuck to the inside more, but now that we're getting warmer, we're outside quite a bit. And so we do a lot with, I make the nature spots. We have a bird watching area and all kinds of classrooms that way. The girls, I mean, they're troops before and after school. They, at times they'll head upstairs and they'll do their own thing, but for the most part, they love the kids just as much as we do. They've kind of like that. They've all became family because they've been here so long. So it's kind of cool. Most of my people that come to the childcare, they either are from the original of when I opened in-home childcare about 20 years ago when I built the house, or we built the house. They are either friends, relatives, neighbors, or somewhat of the original people I had when we started. So it's been kind of cool. I think in this group, I would say almost everybody in this group's done having little ones. So I would say in about 1 to 2 years, we'll be starting over with some new families. Because these guys right now, a lot of them are 2 and 3, so they won't start going to school for a couple years yet. So, which is always a sad day when that starts happening. They all kind of start fading off and go that way. This picture kind of came about. I always liked it. I've had it for a while and I cannot remember. I'll try to link it if I can find out on my downloads who it was that I bought these digital prints from. But she always reminded me of when I was in school. I had a teacher that would always tell me to get my head out of the clouds. I would daydream in school more than I wouldn't. And he always said it in a joking manner, but I think probably by the time I was out, he was pretty happy that I wasn't in his class no more, because he was always having to snap me back in. But I was always a dreamer. I was always outside too. We had Pony on the farm, and her name was Sunny, and I would take off on her. We had 39 acres. I'd be on her as much as I could. And then my older sister had a Morgan, and so when I graduated from the pony to the Morgan, it was the Morgan's turn, but usually the pony ended up following us everywhere me and the Morgan went. So she had a nice full life. She lived until she was about 30, which is pretty good age for a pony. She had a lot of miles on her. And that's the only thing that really, I would love to have had the girls have a horse. I had a horse until Ashley was probably, I would say, 7 or 8. And I just always felt like if I got hurt riding her, because I was always a trail rider. I didn't show, I like trail riding. I was always afraid, if I fell, who's going to take care of my kid? And he was such a good quarter horse that I finally came to the determination that he needed to be somewhere where he could live his full potential. And so I donated him to a place in Nebraska called Hetra. And they work with a lot of disability children. And they work a lot with also veterans that have PSD or some kind of injury. And so he's been there for a long time, and he's getting pretty old now. I don't know if anybody knows what navicular is, but he developed navicular, which is basically he's a heavy-duty quarter horse. So the bone in one of his front feet, like you have the hoof, the bone, be about where our paw or our palm is starting to kind of protrude a little bit, so he has to have a special shoe. So they have a veterinarian that takes care of him and a shoer, and they've done so good that I haven't even brought him home yet to retire him, because instead of being ridden with that now, he works with the veterans, and especially like the ones that are in wheelchairs, etc. And they come out and they actually groom him and such. So even though he's got that going on, they keep his pain under control, if not pain-free. And then they have them come in and they groom him. And he's been a favorite there for a long time. But I'm just impressed. They take care of all their horses. And everybody just absolutely loves the place. So they come in and do all that, and then he's just far enough I don't get to see him too often, but they send me updates on him, and so I'm kind of happy. All the groundwork I had done with him paid off, and he's making somebody else's life more meaningful by being there. So as much as I miss having him around, it's been great. But going into the letting the girls have one, though, we live out far enough we're still country, but we're still in close enough that there's really, we have 9 acres, but I mean, it's just really not that much room to really get a good, reason to have another horse. And to be honest, people just, when we were all young and growing up the farms, people had etiquette, of driving. They were careful of the farm equipment, and, they slowed down if they went by a horse. And half the time, I even dread taking the kids across from our house. We have actually the Wabash Trail, if anybody's heard of that. And I kind of dread going across the road just to get us to the trail, because people just don't watch out for anybody anymore. It's just not like when we were all kids. I always tell the kids I wish I was born a few years earlier, and so were they, because I would love them to live the life I did. You could be outside, and everybody always talked, when the porch lights came on, you come home. That was kind of like us, but we lived in the country, so there was no porch lights. So you either just knew when the sun was going down that you headed home, or mom was going to have your butt. So you didn't push it. Mom was pretty lenient, and our neighborhood. It took us a little while to walk to the first neighbor's house and stuff when we were really young, but you just knew to be home. It wasn't a question. It's not like, not all kids, but there's some kids today that they just don't have, for whatever reason, the respect we did back then. You just knew what was expected of you and you did it, and there was really no question. Didn't help that my dad was part German, and he never laid a hand on us, but I tell you, you didn't cross him. His look alone was enough to make me well. Not so much my older brother and sister. It's not really funny, but it is. They pushed him a little harder, and that's probably why I don't. And I just put the brads on there, which is going to take up the spot. And I don't know if I really want to cover that now. Maybe I'll put up there instead. I liked it down here, though. Darn. I was talking and I forgot. No, I think we'll move it up there. Maybe move it down a little bit. And then you can still see some of the writing. But, so did you, most part, how many of you guys actually grew up in the country versus being in the city and remember running more than you can let your kids do now? I mean, maybe some of this stuff happened when we were younger. You just didn't, it just wasn't, you knew your neighbors. It just didn't happen as often, I don't think, as some of the stuff that goes on today. I'm kind of glad that between the scrapbooking and all that kind of stuff that we do here, that so far, my older daughter would prefer to be home here instead of be anywhere else, so I haven't really had the issue of her wanting to run. So I'm sure it's coming. But with COVID right now, I guess there really isn't too many places. That's one thing here in this area, we just don't have enough for the kids to do. It's just like we had local roll arenas and that kind of stuff, but we just really, he's not going to really fit on there now too. I kind of flipped that all up, didn't I? That's all right, we'll put him on this. But yeah, we just really don't have enough for him to do, so they get bored. Well, maybe I'm going to save him though. I like him. I want him on the outside somewhere. So it's kind of sad. And then there is another thing we used to do a lot when we were younger too, is a lot of the kids that we knew also lived on farms. So we could go hang out at each other's farms, and we either be riding our bikes and making ramps or cow tipping. I have to say we actually did that. It's probably not that funny to some people. Actually, it's going to go on this one. Not that funny to some, but we would actually take some of the city kids in. And I didn't do it as much as everybody else. I watched. But we had a neighbor, and it's really not that funny, but we had a neighbor that had a bull, and they took one of the newer kids out and was trying to get him to tip this bull. I did tell him not to do that, because that's rude. But people say cow tipping isn't a real thing, but if you can get up on the right cow, and heaven forbid, don't do it when they've calved, because the cow will take you as soon as they've had a baby, no matter how tame they are beforehand. But if you can get them out with the young cows and you sneak up on them, you can get one to tip over. But we didn't do it too often. We only had one neighbor that had a ton of cows. We had cows growing up, but we knew darn well that if we brought anybody onto our property to do that, Dad would have us. And the one that did do it, he was the wild child of the street. We would go watch when he would try to pull pranks like that. But I'll tell you what, when his dad caught him, you didn't see him for a few days because he was doing a ton of extra chores. It wasn't, his dad didn't put up with it, but I tell you what, he'd keep trying it though. Wouldn't be much that he wouldn't try, which was nuts. Kind of crazy. This one is gonna go in one of the journals I've been putting together to actually list when I'm done. I had a few that I was doing for people, but I've quit doing stuff on demand like that because I just don't have time. The girls, between homework, when they need help in school activities, and then just having to have stuff done on a time limit's been hard lately. So I did get the 3 I had been doing for somebody done, and those are out in the mail. And then this one, I'll work on this one as I get going, and then I'll list it when I'm done. So when I glue this in, I think I'm going to save a spot maybe and put that behind. Then in here, I think what I'm going to do is maybe put some journaling paper. This week's been kind of crazy, so I haven't even really got to watch a whole lot of videos. I'm kind of addicted to watching and seeing what everybody else is up to, and when I should probably be working on some of mine. But it's been kind of nice not having to have something done on a time frame, though. I can just kind of do what I want when I want to get it done. And my 13-year-old, she started her own book. Oops, I think I did that a little shorter than I want to. And so I've been helping her start her pages. And she'll probably take over with some of it soon. She was wanting to do some with her papa, and which is my dad, and he passed away 5 or 6 years ago now. And so we do a lot with the photos because she was young when he passed away, so she remembers him. And then Jenna, she came home after my mom passed away when I was 16. I think I told you that in one video. My dad passed away just a few years ago. My husband's dad passed away before I met my husband. And then my mother-in-law passed away right before my dad did. So Jenna, Ashley got to meet 2 of the grandparents. Jenna did not get to meet any of our parents, and which was kind of sad, but she was really lucky, and I think that's part of what's helped her bond and attach to us as fast as she did, is she had a foster family that she called Grandpa and Grandma. And I would say half of her life, maybe a little bit less, probably a little bit less, she was with them. So she was with them from the time she was born, or pretty close to it, because they just know approximate of when she was born. But when she was born, she was with them, and then she, about the time I'm believing that school started, actually we're not going to do that. When school started, she, her grandma, or foster grandma, didn't want to, but she had to put her in one of the orphanage so she could attend the school. And then when Grandma thought she wasn't getting all she could, her foster grandma actually got her back out and took her back home. And I think she ended up in total in 3 different orphanages. And the first 2 were not wonderful. And then the last one she was in was a newer one and really, really nice. We were actually, even when we went to adopt her, we had to stay in country for 14 days. And we were actually invited, which is very seldom, back to the orphanage so we could see where she lived and what our daily routines were. And so we were really beneficial on doing that. And then it took until she was home for about 2 years before she finally told me one day that she had their phone numbers. And I never thought to ask, because usually they don't allow them to have contact or numbers to contact people and stuff like that. But since she still had contact with the grandma, she gave her all the numbers that she needed. And I think I kind of want that bigger. I don't like how the edges are coming up. But she gave them all the numbers that she needed to be able to get a hold of them. And so she told us, and now I would say about every 2, maybe 3 months, she calls and she talks to them. And that also allowing her to keep, because I mean, she's here and she's, you know, our daughter now, but they were family before we were family. I mean, just as much family as we are, in my opinion. And so I think it's important that she's got that with the way everything's going, and then she's doing so good in school. I'd like to say she would make it back, but I don't know if she will make it back to China to visit anytime soon, especially since she's gotten the 2 years paid college now. So I think having that contact's been pretty good. We send pictures back and forth and go from there. And then I was lucky enough with her to find 4 of the girls that she went to, was in the orphanage with, and she pretty much has known them all of her life. So that's been really awesome that I was able to find them. And so she does talk to them quite a bit. And there's one that comes through the area because they've got family. And so they get to visit there. So they get to visit. And then she's got another one that's a really short drive that we've seen a couple times, and when they're not busy. And then the other young lady, she lives quite a ways away, but we're hoping that hopefully by next year that she'll get to come down and spend some time with us, or vice versa. Jen'll be 18. That's scary. So really, if she wanted to go by herself, I would like to say that I, at this point, would be okay with sticking her in an airplane. But worst goes to worst, I'll fly up and have either a mini vacation with my younger daughter while she visits them, or her and Dad will do something special while we go, and I'll get a couple mommy days. I don't know. Or maybe I'll visit with her mom. It all depends. They've got a bigger family, so it really kind of just depends on what's going on. But we did start a little older than some having children, so It goes there. Yesterday, I spent a good part of my day at my sister's house because my niece, my sister is 9 years younger, or my younger sister is 9 years younger than me. Her daughter is graduating this year. And so I went over to help curl her hair and get her ready for prom, and that was really fun. Doesn't seem right that she's graduating. Kinda scary. Of course, it doesn't seem right that Jen will be graduating in 2 years either, so. She could have graduated next year, but I kind of, is anybody else like picky on if their corners kind of match? I think I cut that a little crooked. That's better. But maybe not. All right, who's laughing at me? Anyway, kids just seem to grow up way too fast anymore. Actually, I could use a tea-dyed one. Maybe we'll just do that. Now that I've inked part of that. Now the question is, though, do I want to cut that down or leave it long so that can be a journal spot, too? Maybe I'll cut it down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, like that. They can always take it out if they don't want it there or if they journal more. And then, do I want to do something over here, though? Don't really want to leave it plain. Let's see if I got some scrap over here. I do. I got some scrap. Maybe we can use that. That could be kind of cool. Oh, you know what? I can't remember who did it. Let's see if I can try this. Making the pocket. I've never done it, so I'm not sure. I want to feel bad. If I can figure out who did it. I'll link the video alone, or down below, but I'm betting a lot of you are going to know exactly who did it as soon as I do it. There's tons of talented people out there. Kind of love how they come up with some of this stuff. Not that other people may not have done something similar too, and just it wasn't out there, but it's gonna be a little short. That's okay. But then I think they. Oh, I cut that pretty flower up. I really liked that too. Maybe. Oh well, done now, right? I think they took the corner like this. If I had time, I'd actually look it up. But corner like that, and then there you go. Yeah, did the double pocket. I thought that was so cute when I saw that. We'll do that because I didn't even think about the inside cover. I kind of knew what I wanted to do over here, but it was kind of fun. I have no idea how long I've been on here. If it ends up being too long, I'll just cut some parts out. You'll notice there's some parts where I sewed and I didn't know I was gonna sew on this one, and I'll go back and I'll edit those out. Nobody wants to. If I was doing just short stuff, then I'd leave it in, but I think I might leave it up just a little bit though, so some of the more of that flower shows out. I'm really kind of bummed that I went across that. Now what if I did that and then took another piece? Let's try that. So I took this piece and I cut it there. Fell back and I couldn't find it. Go like that. Save my scraps. This is the Tim Holtz paper. And I'm really bummed. I'm sure everybody's heard by now, and I was probably one of the last few that did, that he's gonna quit making his 12 by 12 paper. And that's kind of sad. I think I did it again, but oh well. No, it's this way. So, but I know every company's got to make their products and change a little bit here and there to do it, but he makes such cool paper. Keep saying I'm gonna buy a couple more packs just to put away for, at least I don't go through it as fast as some, because I'm picky on where I use his papers at, but kind of hoping he does that for one season and then realizes how much. I think I like the green better though. Let's do it this way. So it's not going to be exactly how they did their pockets. Same kind of theory though. Anyway, I hope that maybe in a year, either somebody cries enough to them or they just come out with a new one on their own for a new supply and stuff. Because I don't know how long this one's been out. I know this paper pack's been out for ages. There, let's do that. So I'm just going to do a dot up there and a dot down here, because I think I'm going to sew this too. Kind of like that. I think I bopped around in all my stories that I'm not sure what stories I've told and what stories I haven't. Yeah, I think I like that. So do a lot of you still do like the ordered scrapbooks and stuff like that, or do you more just scrap at your own pace and then list it when you got it done? I really did like scrap, because it's fun to do personalized things for everybody, but it's just lately I've been so, oh, I got that kind of in the crevice, didn't I? It's still gonna bend really good, so we're good. I really like doing it, but I just don't. We're gonna have to cut that off. Maybe I can tear it. Definitely not used to talking out loud while I'm scrapbooking. Usually this is my time to be in my mental zone. Later I got one of those erasers. I'll erase that off when it's dry. That works pretty good. I think they're called gummy erasers or something like that. But they work really well to take off, glue off projects when you do what I just did. There we go. I like this. This is Fabri-Tac, and I like that it's fast holding, but if you really need to, you can actually take care of it if you need to. And move it around. You just got to catch it fast enough. And a couple more tags can go in there, or pictures, or whatever they want to do. And then maybe do a darker green one there, or maybe a darker green one in front of them. Yeah. I think I'll just do a smaller one back down in there. I think I like that. And then they don't always have to have stuff in there if they don't want to. We got that. And then this. And you got your tag here. I think I might add a little bit of sewing on there. And then I know a lot of people say they don't have, I've got just an old Singer Touch and Sew that I bought from, I went to my local place that fixes sewing machines. And I told them, I said, you know, I want something that works good and maybe do a little bit of fabric here and there. I said, but honestly, you know, I just need something that's gonna, you know, work on paper for the most part, but won't do anything extremely heavy duty like denim, etc. Because I do have my quilting machine, because I quilt just a little bit too. I dabble in that. And so he found me this Singer Touch and Sew, and that works really well for sewing. But I've got a couple friends that they don't, oops, they don't, I cut that just a little too small, or sewed it a little too small, so I might have to trim this down a little bit. But they use, their daughter got a little beginner's sewing machine, and she said it was cheap. It was only like 20 bucks. And I can't remember where she said she got it, but I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. If I can find one similar, I'll link it. And the grandma had got it for her daughter, and she uses that for paper goods. And she says it works really well. And then she said she also has, I know what she's talking about. I've never used one, so I can't tell you how they work. But little hand-held sewer mender. And she says on small things, like where she just wants to add a tiny bit, she uses that. She says it's a little loud, but she says she uses that and it works great. There we go. Now it goes in. That worked. And so she was like, that's brilliant. I wouldn't have thought of using that. And I've seen them. I've never seen them in person. And you know what I just did? I was going to stick a tag behind this, and I already glued it. Oh well. We'll skip the tag behind. It would have been good, but I was talking. Got enough tags on the inside. I didn't, I guess, and then one tag on front of here. I guess we didn't need one to slide behind. That might have added more bulk than we needed anyway, so maybe it was a blessing in disguise. I like it. That turned out good. I might have to make one for my personal album too. But this one will go in. Like I said, I'll use the gummy stuff on that to get rid of that. And then I'll add some strings on those too. You guys don't need to add, or watch me add strings though. So I think that'll be good. Now I need to choose which journal to put it in. Both of these will be listed for sale when I get them all. I won't embellish them all the way. I'll leave little room so other people can do some stuff too. But this one's got the, I love that look. So even I think I did another one with a hand sewn. I might do that on the outside just because I like it. But my older daughter, she wanted to send journals to her friends. And they all look more like this one. And that way they could Zoom call and do videos together doing their journals. So they have some like this. But since they're going to be doing theirs, I want them to be able to pull out their signatures. So if they wanted to sew on them or, you know, hand stitch on them, they could do it when they weren't in here. Or if they made a boo-boo and wanted to take that page out altogether, or if they wanted to add something in, like, you know, if you wanted to add something like that, which I was going to do in this one anyway. Add a pocket in there that you could just take and, I don't want to do that on top of that book. If I can get my stuff out of my desk is a mess, can you tell? I was doing my personal album before I did this one. Decided to turn the camera on. But anyway, take and you get your, whatever it is that you want to slide in, and then you can go to your middle, or let's just put this one in, the next one. You can just slide it underneath and grab it, and then they can add pages or take pages out. as they go. So whoever would buy this one would be able to do the same, you know, or if they wanted, you know, a different signature in a different spot, they can do that. Or if they didn't want the outer pages on it, they could take those off. And then this one, I did the same way. I've got one that does have sewn pages in, and I had already started to do that before the buyer decided they wanted a different cover on there. So I finished it a little bit more than this one is. And this one I did a lot of. And I may go in and add some more of these, or I'll just let, you know, whoever buys it do that. So this one still needs a few pages added in. But so I think what we'll do is I think we'll add it to this one. Let's add it to that one. And so that will be the first embellished page in this one. This one's got the Tim Holtz in there. And where should we put this one? This has got quite a few pages that are in there too. So do I want it actually to start? Nah, because it's got the fold out. So let's do it. Let's do it on this one. So this one will go in here. And we could still put the tuck out behind this piece maybe. I don't think it really needs it. Maybe I'll make it and put a piece of paper in there, and then whoever buys it, if they don't want it in there, they can pull it out. That'll be their option. Because that way if their book starts getting too bulky or what have you, which is a good thing, they can take out and add pages as they want too. So if they do really want something in there and they need to debulk, they can pull some pages out and actually put them in a new book. Or rearrange as necessary. Let me get a baby wipe. As I reach right in front of you, you can probably see my messy hair. I've been outside in the wind, so between shopping and the garden. Got a lot of glue on that one. There we go. That's wet, but it'll dry. Whoop. And then this paper can slide right in there. And then it'll actually stick out the side a little bit too. And I can come back and on the signature, maybe add some lace. It's another good thing about them being able to pop out. If I decide to add lace to this one before I sell it, or maybe leave it this way and leave them the option if they want me to add lace on those pages, I can add lace, or they can do it when they get it. I like how that turned out. I believe everyone in their own heart is a dreamer, and without dreams, we don't have a whole lot of anything. I do like, wonder if I have. Let's see if I got the word dream anywhere. We could add that on there. Faith, calm. Ah, dream. Whoops. Let's see what that would look like, and then we can be done. And this set, I'm not I'll have to look up too on where I got these digitals from. This one I can't remember where those. I've had these a long time. Maybe put Dream up there after we ink it. And then these are just clipboards, and then I put it's not silicone, it's the thinner sheets for the you can put on top of your baking sheets. And then I can ink on them. And then after I fill them up really good, then I can take a wipe if they get too messy and just wipe them right off. And they dry in there, ready to go for the next time. So then I'm not throwing as much stuff away as I go. Kind of like that. Or should we put it up here? Oh, decisions. I think I like it right there. I think maybe we'll put it there. The only other choice. Could put it there. Yeah, we'll put it up there. Too bad this wasn't live. We could take votes, right? Everybody can pick where it goes. There you go. There we go. And I don't know who was the first one that came out with these, but brilliant, brilliant. When they come with the caps or the icing bottles, those are really awesome. Okay, there we go. Don't be afraid to dream. And you open it up. You got your 4 tags in here, bigger one back here, and any of these tags could be removed if they decided to remove some bulk. And then there's plenty of journaling spot. I'm big on journaling. That's what we do most. I got some I might show later on that I've done of my own, and then I'll add strings in those later. But first page, all done. Well, I hope you all have a great evening, morning, depending on when you watch this. And you stuck around for the journey. Bye.